Thanks for joining us. I'm Marlon Bowling with you here on a Monday, and we are going to open up our trade with analysis from Dewey Strickler of AgWatch Market Advisors in Franklin, Kentucky. Dewey, I want to take a first look at some prices here and then get your thoughts on the trade. Let's go to the corn board and see what the first trades are here today. We'll start with December corn. And right now it is down 2 1/4 at 364 3/4. On the soybean trade, we begin with November, and here we have it trading 3 higher at 847. And we did have an overnight sale that we'll talk about in a little bit. Now in the wheat trade in Chicago, we have that December contract 4 higher at 515 1/4 per bushel. And in Kansas City wheat, we have the December contract opening up about 1 3/4 higher at 516 1/2. And in Minneapolis wheat right now, you have your December contract up 1/2 at 570 1/2. However, all the other months are a little bit weaker. And in the cotton market early this morning, we have the December contract up 150 points at 83.49 per pound. Now back to Dewey Strickler. All right, Dewey, what do you read into the opening trades here with corn down and soybeans up a little bit?
Well, I mentioned on Friday to my subscribers that if the D's corn could get above 370 today, that we had, I thought, a pretty decent shot of trying to move back above the high we made in late July at 388 1/2. It doesn't look like that is going to happen. So that said, I think they were going to stay in a trade range here for quite some while. Probably be looking at resistance of 372 to about 376. And I think we're just going to be stuck in a quagmire.
On the soybean side, we did have an overnight sale. Let's take a look here. 132,000 tons of soybeans sold overnight. This is all according to USDA. And it was to unknown destinations for 2018 and 2019. That, of course, would be the crop that's just starting to come out of the field right now. Something we can build on, I guess, but do we have to have bigger numbers than that to really help the market?
Yeah, I think you eventually are here. We're due to have a recovery back up into about the 858, maybe 868 area, Marlin. We do have our crop report will be out on Wednesday. And, of course, the big question is going to be, what are they going to do to soybean yields? You know, we're looking at some pretty healthy yields from some private estimates here. And, of course, we're just going to have to get through that. There's just not very much positive here in the bean market, at least for right now.
All right. Well, Dewey, if you would, stick around for a little bit, and we'll see how the livestock trade is opening up, too. We're talking with Dewey Strickler of AgWatch Market Advisors, and we'll be back right after this. And we're back talking with Dewey Strickler of AgWatch Market Advisors right now. And let's take a look at our opening trade in cattle. Let's start with live cattle this morning, Dewey. And on the futures board in Chicago, our first look shows October now 80 higher. We're at 110.75 per hundredweight. That's only one tick from the high of the opening range. And December live cattle, 51 higher. We're at 114.93. Meanwhile, February, 20 higher at 118.45. One item of note, you will note that all the nearbys are stronger than the deferreds once again. All right, let's take a look at the feeder cattle market. How are we opening up there? We have September, well, that's obviously not right. Let's try loading that screen again. On the feeder cattle market, let's see if we can get that to re-rack here a little bit. Well, it's still not showing up right. All right, we'll go on to the lean hogs. For some reason, that's showing like wheat prices. Let's take a look at lean hogs. October up at $1.47 at 57.12, and December 38 higher at 57.18. February 23 higher at 64.95. So stronger tone here to get things started here this morning on the livestock trade. What's going to be driving this week, Dewey?
Well, really, you know, when you look at it, you've got your support mostly in the hog complex here. Concerns over the African swine flu. Understand they had maybe another report of that. When you do look at the hogs, especially the October contract, technically it looks pretty strong. We gapped higher here this morning, and back last week when the hogs were right around 52, 57, you had a little bit of an upside gap there. So don't be surprised if we don't try to get these hogs back up into about the $61, maybe $62 range here.
How desperate do you think China would be to buy hogs or pork products if that swine fever outbreak turns out to be worse than reported right now?
Well, I tell you what, it's going to push them into a corner because look at the mouths they've got to feed over there. They would be forced in a situation where they would have to come in and buy some pork.
All right, and let's take a look at this cattle. I believe we have the feeder cattle prices for everybody right now. So looking at how we're opening up there, remember we had the live cattle opening higher. We have feeder cattle a little bit higher, not much. We have September up 17, October up a dime at 153.05. November 3 cents higher at 152.75. On the livestock summary, we had the cash cattle market that was basically about steady as we wrapped up last week, I guess. I don't know if you can take too much away from that, but the wholesale beef trade on the beef cutout values ended up being sharply lower Friday.
Well, like I said, the hogs are supporting everything here today. I think that your cattle on the October contract will meet some resistance up here at this 111.5 to 112.5 area. Your feeders, on the other hand, we're up in an area of resistance right now. We may work up a little bit higher, but I would expect a break in the feeders probably back to about 150.5 basis of this October contract.
Really? Okay, we'll keep an eye out for that. Dewey, good to visit with you. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Dewey Strickler of AgWatch Market Advisors. He is based in Franklin, Kentucky.